I shall calm down by giving you a Yorkshire salute. Eyup with my rather splendid cup of tea. Here, this mug. Yes, beautiful. Major Pentatonic Autopsy mug. It's one of the lessons in the book there. It's on a mug so you can remember it. So, if you don't have the book, then you can get the book here at my store. It's available in spiral bound, paperback, and also an ebook. That ebook you get on the website, the paperback is on Amazon, and the spiral bound is on lulu.com. There's all those links there. If you click through to that, then you can get to that stuff there. And then you can join in the lessons, and then you've got the diagrams already. Today's lesson, this stupidly easy idea helped me change scale boxes easily. It sounds clickbaity, but when it comes to playing guitar and playing your scales and just switching through those box patterns, it can be tricky. So this is what I'm showing you today, guys. This is what I call pentatonic elevator triangles. Lesson 72, page 78. So this is lessons from the book. The thing about the pentatonic box patterns, and you may have noticed this, we've done other lessons in this Wednesday guitar class. We've looked at things like the 3 and 2 pentatonic. Last week we looked at the washing line blues method. You know, that way of using a string to help us move out of one position and into other positions. I gave you my whole reasoning and logic behind that. That with the washing line method, if you tie in these pentatonic elevator triangles, then what will happen, you'll find that you have more than one entry and escape point in a box pattern or in a scale. So you think about that as entry points and escape points, because the thing is, you've got to think of it like a territory. This neck here, what we're doing is we enter a certain part of a scale, we exit a different part of a scale when we're doing our solos and our improvisations. The way the guitar's tuned, and this ties into string pairs, which is also in the book, the G and the B string are different to the other strings. If you remember, the E to the A is a perfect fourth, A to the D is a perfect fourth, D to the G is a perfect fourth, but from G to B, the tuning is a major third. The tuning goes wonky. Everything goes wonky, and that causes your patterns and your shapes to go wonky. It is one of those things. Now, there's some people out there that probably say, why don't you just tune to perfect fourths? There are people out there that tune to perfect fourths. A good guy to see is a fellow Yorkshireman, Tom Quayle, who's a rather excellent fusion guitarist. He tunes in perfect fourths. For me, I like this awkward kink in the tuning that we have to compensate for, because what it does is it gives us different shapes. Let's be honest, us guitarists, we do get bogged down with shapes and how we understand those shapes. The shapes are the easiest thing to see. What we need to do then really is give those shapes context by applying the chords from a key to it, applying notes to it, applying scale degrees to it, applying intervals to it. So the thing is, we can become reliant on these shapes. Now, this is a kind of a shape reliant idea because we're using 3 triangle shapes. So this is the way we defeat this kink in the tuning, and it's just a way of seeing it. And when I spotted it, I thought, oh, that's cool, because you'll see there's a pattern to it that's very easy to remember. It's very easy to just follow and launch your solos on. But that disruption, like I say, in the tuning, moving away from that perfect fourth tuning, like we get between the thin B string and the thin E string as well. That's a perfect fourth as well. We get this major third interval between the G and the B string, which means we have to compensate our shapes. So the thing is, one of the problems with these pentatonics is that we do get stuck in these box patterns, so we need these means of entering and escaping these box patterns. If you don't know, there are 5 box patterns, and those 5 box patterns, it's in the book. I've done something that I call the 3+2 method. So we've got a minor third distance here from the first finger to the third finger. That is the 2 pattern. Then we got the 3 pattern. Now this occurs all the time through all of those 5 pentatonic patterns. You can even say that the pentatonic patterns we can apply the cage system to that as well because of the root notes. We're not getting into that though, because that is a completely different lesson. I've already done it on the channel. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the box patterns one at a time. We're going to do this in the key of A minor pentatonic, because this is the one that we all love so much and use all the time. So those are our frets. I'll just draw a line in there to show the head note there. I'll even put the string names. Eddie, A, Dynamite, Goodbye, Eddie, just so that you got your orientation there. It's basically set out the same way that tab is. We've got this note, and I want you to look at this actually, guys, because this is useful. That little line there, you can think of that as like an equator between two scales, but what we're doing is we're doing two notes on each of these here. Like I said, between E and A, that is tuned to a fourth. A to D, that's tuned to a fourth. D to G, that's tuned to a fourth. But G to B, this is the problem area that we have. Now, I don't want to use this shape here, because what I want to do is I want to keep this really simple. I'm going to show you this in box one. Now, the maths nerds of you out there will know the proper name for this triangle. It's a big triangle. I'm gonna call it a big triangle. It's just bigger than the others. You'll see that the others aren't as big. Okay, so this is the big triangle. I'll just show you the next pattern along, and I just want you to see how these pentatonics click into each other like Lego, almost like Tetris. So if I cover that off there and I take the pattern that I've got here on the 7th and the 8th fret, take that there, I'm just transferring this idea over here like this, and then I'm going to draw my next box pattern, which goes here like this. This is box pattern 2. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put my root notes in. You can see that this is an E-shaped octave. You find the root note for this by following the caged octaves, and this is going to be an E-shaped octave. I'm going to show you the next triangle along. Let's do this next triangle. So what we're doing is we're just focusing on the G and the B strings, guys. This is the thing. We don't want to take in too much. 3, 5, 7, 9, 12. There we go. So here you can see we have the next triangle. That's a big triangle because it goes over 4 frets. This is a smaller triangle because it goes over 3 frets. Let me just show you. Here's the minor pentatonic. So here's box 1. Just kidding. So the thing is, we're breaking out. So you see there, finger 1, I use my pinky there, and finger 3 there. Now the cool thing I like about this one, this gives me a location to throw an anchor down. Because it's in box 1, I call this the Chuck Berry zone. It's got all this business going on here. So we've got all those licks, all those Jimmy Page licks. It's all here. All those classic notes. Yes, the notes. We could think of the notes. E. Yeah, we've got the G. And we've got the D. Yeah. You could relate these as being the 4th, 5th, and flat 7th. You see how many different ways we can interpret this. So attaching those intervals onto it, attaching the note names onto them, is going to be extremely valuable. But at first, look at the shape. So I've got that there. And that'll help me to find my bearings. Now, like I say, we're doing this in A minor, but we're going to do it in E minor as well if we have time today. Because I think those are the 2 most obvious scales that we're going to learn to play music in. You play music in the key of C and G, and their relative minors are going to be A minor and E minor. So what happens is, like the pentatonic shapes that I showed you did, these guys join up. So where the pinky is the start of the next pentatonic triangle. And you may know this as being the House of Blues. There's the triangle roof, and then if you put a rectangle on here, so you can see. Now, some of the ways we can move between these, we can tie into those techniques that we talked about. Sliding is probably super convenient, and you can bend into them, and there's lots of different ways you can pick straight through them. But I like moving on that index finger. You can use this finger in. And note groupings are important as well, so you could think of this as a group of 3. Or you could do it as a group of 6. Yeah. So just joining those two up together there means that now I'm connected into box 2 of that A minor pentatonic, which so happens to be the A minor and the C major are inversions of each other, guys. Now the thing is, the box 2 of the minor pentatonic is box 1 of the major pentatonic. You only need to learn those 5 box patterns and that's it. And you're sorted, because it's just how you think about them, how you designate them. The reason I call them elevator triangles is because if I'm down here and I want to go up here, this elevates me up the neck. I'm elevated. I'm moving up the neck. So and I'm also moving down the neck. So it's a really cool idea. It means that we're able to move up and down. Hence the scale diagram here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly the same thing as I did before. I'm going to get rid of the notes that I would use my first finger for there. I'm just going to hide those, and then I'm just going to transfer this pattern here, because this is Tetris, Lego, whichever analogy fits best for you in your mind. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these here like this. So this is going to be 10th fret and 12th fret for this one. Still got this 3, 5, 7, 9 business going on there, but I've just put 10 and 12 there. Now here's the cool thing. We get a big triangle again, which is why I'm using that same colour. This is box 3 in the minor pentatonic, if we want to think of it as that. But this is a big triangle, small triangle, big triangle. How cool is that? But what I want to do is I want to keep on this path here, and I want to do exactly the same thing yet again. So I'm losing that first note there. Let's draw out that shape down here. I'm going to add the next notes that we need to make this happen. And then we get box 4. This is super useful, I think. After you've learnt box 1, moving to box 4 is a nice contrasting voice to move into. So if you play it, call up here, you play your response up here, or you could do it the other way around. So it's question, answer, question, answer. You can move into these, and then you don't get stuck in the boxes. But what you can see is we get the small one again. So we go big, small, big, small. We can call them isosceles. We can call them whatever fancy name that Pythagoras is. Pythagoras is the triangles guy, isn't he? So whatever Pythagoras came up with. Here, let me just show you something that I'm going to do while I'm here. And I'll show you how these connect. If I put this up here, you can start to see how it forms this triangle pattern that moves up here like that. So we've got big triangle, big triangle, another little triangle. Now the cool thing about this is that essentially big triangle, little triangle gets repeated again, and that's all you have to do. And we have these pivot points that join these ideas up. So we just got this, and this is what we're looking for there. So this is box 1. There is the big rectangle. Here's box 2. You can think of this as the House of Blues. This is Albert King. So it gives you something to target. You know exactly what's going on here. So look at that. You can see where the A minor chord lives under there. This is another cool thing about these ideas is we get this little shape here. So we could tie that in when we get that shape there. Now it does change when we move through the patterns. Now I'm moving up into the big triangle that is in box 3. Now the cool thing I like about this one is wherever my pinky goes on this big triangle, I can bend that note up. And I can do it down here. So, yeah. So, okay, we've got that there. Because this has gone big triangle, moving up to little triangle. I can do the same thing here. So now you can see it's enabling me to move through these box patterns. This is box 4. Just there. This gets me into my boomer bends, which is a nice one just here. What we do is we practice going up and down this. You just need to just go. You can do a Clapton trill. Now hopefully that makes sense. Now we've got one box pattern left. Let me get back to the dianagrams. The lady dianagrams. Let's put the next lady dianagram in here. Now, here's the thing to remember. Look, 12th to the 15th fret here. 12th fret is the same as open. So we can take this pattern and we can replicate it down here as well. Right. Let's put that down there so we can use it in an open position. Same pattern here. There. And there is the connector again. Oh, hang on. Let me put that down here as well. I'm going to take this one here. I'm going to do it in 2 positions. I'm going to show you up in the dusty end of the neck and down here in the money-making end of the neck. So we're just taking the back end of the pattern, ignoring the first finger notes. Take that there, and then what happens is 15th fret and 17th fret, this is the equivalent of the 3rd fret, that's the equivalent of the 5th fret. And if you remember, we had this line here that's like a big equator along here. So if I transfer this now, 3rd to the 5th, then what you'll see is you get this pattern here, and then what happens is you can see that pattern there is replicated down here, and we're back to where we started again. Okay, we're back to where we started again. This is going to be box 5, right? And the triangle shape in this one, however, is different. Yes, it is different. And this is the way that I see the triangle. I just call that a right angle triangle. I'm right on that, aren't I? It's got a corner. That's the way I see it. It's got a corner. Let me just check my work then. Hang on, let's have a look. Oh, I did get that one wrong. Oh, hypotenuse. The square root of the hypotenuse is equal to the circumference of the doodangle. I got this one wrong. That's the one that I boffed up. It's only when I tried to put this one in I thought, hang on, that doesn't look right. So that's the right one there. And then I've got to put the blue one. We've got that. So that actually goes there. My bad, guys. Don't you just love this Tipex tape? Look at it. It's brilliant. Oh, it makes my life so much easier. This box 5, I love this pattern. I'm just going to call it right angle triangle. Let's add this to the mix now. So now what we've got is we have a different pattern. Now the beautiful thing is the equator is going to show you and tell you where that is. Yeah, so that line of notes that goes all the way across here. Yeah, that one there is going to tell you that 2 of those notes are in that major third pattern like this. And there's the other one. The thing about this technique-wise is I like to use the first finger and use the roll technique here. Because I find, actually, let's just talk about this. With the fingers, and I've talked about this before, about which fingers want to work easier with each other, and it's about tendons and how your hands pull against, the ligaments pull against each other. The first finger and the third finger are what I call a walking pair, and these really want to work together, yes? The second and the fourth want to work together. It makes sense. If we're using these 2 fingers, then you can use finger 2 there. But I find that that third finger is a good lead finger to move. It's good for targeting notes. So I could think to myself, do you know what? And use that to move myself, elevate into the box 1 pattern. And I'm back at it up here. So you can see that this pattern just repeats all the way up the neck. And that's a drill you could do. So it's a really cool way of looking at this pattern. Yeah, but the thing to notice is we've only got 1 of these right-angled triangles, yes? Then what we get is big, small, big, small, back to right-angled, not right-handed triangles. You can't have right-handed triangles, can you? I need a sip of this rather glorious Yorkshire tea in my rather wonderful mug. So I can think to myself, what's the box pattern underneath that? That's box 5, which kind of, to me, I don't know if this makes sense to you, but it reminds me of wardrobe doors. Look at it like that. The doors open like that. Does it make sense, that, guys? Am I just being obtuse and crazy here? Because I'm a very visual person. Look, that's where the doors would split. So that's a door. Do you know what I mean? You'd have your suitcases and everything stored on top. Old boxes of Monopoly that nobody wanted to play because it always ended up in arguments. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense to me. I'm sharing that because it might make sense to somebody else how to see that scale. And that's the thing, is associating these scales, knowing the shapes of them, because you've got to internalize these shapes. And I think that's one of the things about guitar. It's about shapes, yeah? But also, like I said at the head of the lesson, tying in all the other things that we need to tie in there as well. So there's that pattern. So it's just to help you to find your way around. Now I'm in this one here. And now I know where I'm at with my 3+2 pattern. There's the group of 3. Here's the 2. And bridging the 3 and the 2, we have a triangle, okay? So hopefully this all makes sense here, guys. Now, this is A minor that we've done this in, yeah? So, look at this. The thing we need to know with this, that's usually a good starting point, because all your licks are in the Chuck Berry zone in box 1. They're all around there, all those cliche licks that we all love to play. Then what you need to do is you need to be able to find box 1. So the way we do that is, if we know that we're in the minor key, then basically box 1 goes on the minor key. If it was G minor, it would be E, F, G, yeah? So now I've transposed the whole idea. I need another fret to actually get the next triangle on there. But what if you're in the major key? Remember I said box 1 is the minor pentatonic. That's when you're thinking in the minor key, you look for box 1 of the minor pentatonic shapes that I've just been showing you. If it's the major, then it's going to be box 2 of the minor pentatonic. And when we do that, look, I'll show you. Using the A minor one again. What we're going to do is just look at the E string here. That there is the relative major for this minor here. And that distance there is a minor third. So we go to a minor third. This means that this is my relative major. Now, the thing is, if somebody says to you, we're playing in B major, so you go B major and you know that's the B there, you go E, F, G, A, B. Yeah. Yeah. Then all I need to do for the box 1 pattern, the first pattern that we had here with the big triangle in it, is go down a minor third. So that's this distance here. Minor second, major second, minor third. And that puts me in the correct spot. So you need to be able to find your way around that. I've done this as a lesson in here, guys, because the thing about it is, the book, yeah, there's 80 lessons in here, and I pained over which ones to put in here because I wanted them all to be super, super useful, but I wanted them to be related to each other. All these ideas, they link up, and everything is related, guys, because I talk about the 3 elements of pitch. We've got chords, scales, and arpeggios. Those are just the pitch things. So what I just explained there, that's this one here, solo in the correct key every time. We think of it as 12 keys. We could think of it using the N harmonics and say there are actually 15 keys. And if we want to call major one set of keys and minor another set of keys, then that's 30 keys. And then, you know, it's become super, super complicated. So we just think that there's 12 keys. It's the easiest way around it. I said we'll do this in E minor. So if I do this in E minor, then if I think of the relative major of the E minor, it's going to be G major. So there's my G chord, yeah? There's my G note. Go down a minor second, major second, a minor third. So there's my minor third, puts me on an open E. That's where I'm going to find box 1, which is here. So, look. Where's the triangle? It's there. You don't have as much control over that open string. You see that little chord there? Looks like a D shape, yes? So that is my big rectangle. Small rectangle. Big rectangle. Small rectangle. What rectangles come in next? It's the right angle triangle. Which puts me on the double dots, which means the neck is starting again, which is the same as the open position down here. So it all begins again. Yeah, so we get all these. This is how you apply that to another key. You have to work through these keys, guys, but like I say, I think A minor and E minor. A minor because it's rock. Yes, A minor's rock. Yeah. Yeah, so that blues rock stuff, it's all there. You can play it here as well in the major. Yeah. So we can play that there as well. But when I think in E, it's really useful if you want to play metal. Yeah. Because that's all going to be around here, isn't it? It's all in this position. Yeah. I play that same scale as well. That same lick. You know, everybody knows that these things are here. But after A minor, E minor, I'd say probably D minor becomes the next one to do this. And here's another reason. I'm going off on a tangent. I didn't know this tangent was coming. Look at this. This is an E. Yes? You may want to experiment with this. So the A minor one was for blues rock. The E minor we can use for metal, but I'm going to get even more metal on it here. I'm going to tune my E string to a D. This is drop D tuning. So what we've got here, now we've got to think to ourselves, okay, right, so this is drop D. I've got a choice with this. I just imagine where box 1 goes at the D normally. Now I've got to be careful because this D string has been tuned to drop D, but so I've got my box 4 here. Yeah. And there is that triangle. There is the right angle triangle. So that's small triangle. Right angle, which means I'm into my big triangle. Little triangle. Big triangle. Little triangle. So if you're not familiar with playing in drop D, yeah. Yeah. So that's going to give you a little bit more of a modern sound. That's a little bit more sort of new metal. I think that's really when it started becoming a bit more prevalent. Foo Fighters use it, and that drop D sound, just a little bit heavier. It's an easy way to have some fun with your guitar. And the cool thing is tangent, tangent, tangent. If I take my blues scale or my pentatonic and I go, there's my root, there's my flat third, there's the fourth, there's the fifth, there's the flat 7, and there is the root again, just using this here. Super easy to play chords doing this, guys. I just use one finger. And I'm holding down the notes on the 3rd fret there, using one finger on the E and the A string. Yeah. There. But then when it comes to you want the solo on it. So you see, that's it. There's so much fun to be had tuning to this drop D tuning here. Try your normal power chord shapes on there. So we've got lots of different things that we can do with that, but let me... Yes, so I lowered the tuning of the E string, just the thick E string, down to D. That's all it is, just one string. And it allows me to get that heavier sound, especially if I use a heavier amp setting or something like that. But even though I was in drop D there, it puts you in a different position for your elevator triangles, because that's what this lesson's all about here, guys. It would be different here. Yeah, I'm looking at this as being where my box one lives, because I go E, F, G, A, B, B and C are next door to each other, up a whole step to get to D. So this is where box one goes. And there's my big triangle. Right angle triangle, small triangle, big triangle. One of the cool things is that it enables you to access all the voices. I harp on about using the whole of the neck because it's not for an ego trip. It's so that you can tap into the different voices on the guitar. Yes, because that conversation that we're trying to do there. But by using last week's lesson of the washing line idea, where we use a single string to hang the scale on, the scale formula on, and then adding the pentatonic elevator triangles as well, what we can do is we can create a loop around the box patterns as well. And that means you're not just doing this, because this is what we don't want. We don't want this, guys. We don't want that. What we want is... Now I'm looking, I can see here, I'm in A, this is the note I'm going for. I can tap into... I did this lesson a while ago. I call this box and leg. So here's the box for the minor pentatonic, which goes from the flat 7 to the root, to the flat 3rd, to the 4th, to the 5th. Yeah? That one, it sounds like Starry, Starry Night. Starry, Starry Night. So look, we do that again. We can break off the idea. This is the same thing. Break off there and turn it into the triangle instead of being... So we can add that in there. And that means that you just got a lot more freedom. And that's it. That's the whole point. The more freedom you have on the guitar, the better you can express yourself. The better you can express yourself, the happier you feel. The happier you are with the music that you're producing, which means you want to pick the thing up even more. And the more you pick it up, the better you get. And the better you get, the more you want to pick it up. And that means you're going to buy another guitar. And then another guitar in your living room looks amazing. At the end of the day, the law is he or she who has the most guitars wins. So I know I'm being facetious there, but this is just another tool. They're just tools, guys. You just try them out, see if it works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's fine. No harm, no foul. It doesn't. It's fine. No harm, no foul. You'll find some way around, but that liberation and that freedom of just going where you want to and then tapping into these other licks, because that's what this is all about. There's licks in these different zones. And the thing to know is if you do a note and it's wrong, what you do is you go up or down a half step, 1 fret. and you'll find the right note. That's as easy as it is. Don't worry about the wrong notes. Everybody plays the wrong notes. If you have a question about anything else, we have an Ask Ricky section in the Fretboard Fraternity. Join us in the Fretboard Fraternity. We'd love to see you in there. Have a good old conversation. We talk about music. We share inspirational guitar videos of people that we admire and love their playing. We share pictures of our guitars, all that stuff. It's a lovely place. It's an absolutely lovely place. Very chilled. No ads. You can buy the book here, and that would be appreciated. That's a way of supporting my work here on the channel. Remember who you're playing guitar for. You're playing it for yourself, for your own enjoyment, and for your own peace of mind and your own sanity. That's what I do.